Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to Political Ray. We've got a few things going on that we're going to cover, and we got a couple things that I'm going to retouch on from yesterday with President Trump's address to the joint session. But it was the State of the Union. Everybody knows that it was. Anyway, that's besides the point. So we got the left is coming out and attacking 20-year-olds, and I say, hey, if you want to keep losing, look, the youth vote. The Republicans made very, very big strides as far as making up votes within the youth. And I say, if the Democrats want to keep coming out and bashing on 20-year-olds, keep going, because this is how you're going to just keep losing those numbers in the voting blocks. Anyway, Nicole Wallace of MSNBC comes out and has some very disgusting remarks about DJ, the 13-year-old who had brain cancer and was sworn in as a Secret Service agent. We're going to touch again on the women that were wearing pink, who say they stand for women's rights, but they really don't. And Liz Warren she got owned. Talk about that real quick. And we're going to cover the Al Green thing again, just briefly, and also the volleyball player, Peyton. And we're going to get through this, but it's just some of the stories are just making their rounds again, and I'm going to cover them a little bit better. I know yesterday was it was a little quick as far as like everything that I covered. We're going to get a couple things in here today that maybe I didn't cover yesterday, but anyway, we'll get into this, and again, appreciate you hanging out, and let's just go ahead and get into it here. So we got this person came onto the news. This is the left attacking 20-year-olds. And like I said, if you want to keep losing this block, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep coming out and saying that 20-year-olds can't do anything. Keep coming out and saying that the youth are stupid. Because you're just going to keep losing that voter block if you keep doing this crap. And I'm fine with it. I mean, the Dems can't help but just implode themselves and keep doing everything what they think is right, but it's just losing more audience. They're out of touch with the American voters. And it just shows every time they open their mouths. But let's check this out, because it's too good. Anyway, check this out.
While we're on the subject of Elon Musk, is there anyone in America who is comfortable with him and his gang of 20-year-olds using their own computer servers to poke through your tax returns, your health information, and your bank accounts?
Just for the record, they're not going through anybody's tax returns. The IRS agents are still doing that. These people are not going through people's personal tax return information. They're not. They're going through programs and finding fraud. They're not going through your tax returns. These people are out of touch, and they just use talking points that nobody. I don't care. And look, even if they did, IRS agents have my tax returns. They have my tax information. They have my financial information. So these people were hired by Elon Musk. What's the difference between these people having it and the IRS agents? So you're telling me that there's nobody in the age group of 20 to 30 working at the IRS? BS. I'm telling you, they just don't know what they're talking about.
Oversight, no protections against cyber attack, no guardrails on what they do with your private data. We need a more efficient government. You want to cut waste? I'll help you do it. But change doesn't need to be chaos. While we're on the
Change doesn't need to be chaos. I don't think that this is chaos. They're making it chaos. All their talking points. Like I said, if you want to keep alienating this voter block of this age group, then keep doing what you're doing, because they're keep calling 20-year-olds stupid. Keep calling them thugs and part of Elon Musk's gang, whatever you want to say. They're not winning. Every time they open their mouth, they're just spewing talking points, and the American people are seeing through it. And the reaction from the joint session address by President Trump, it was large. I think it was 79% approval. on what was said. That's big. That's huge. And they spin it saying, "Oh well, President Trump, his approval was so high because they only talk to Republicans." I call BS, because if that was the case, I saw on Crowder yesterday that he pointed out that, look, during President Biden's last one, during his last State of the Union, it was more favorable to him just a little bit, but it was mostly just like a 50-50 split. So I call BS on that, but whatever. Anyway, Nicole Wallace, move on to her. This was disgusting. I know everybody's probably seen this, but I'm gonna play it too. Just the fact of what she said about this little boy, and it's got a lot of people upset, and rightfully so. What she says is wrong, and a lot of people are not happy. Look, but it's MSNBC. But she's getting a lot of blowback about this, and rightfully so. But check it out.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ, and I hope.
And rightfully so. It was a very heartwarming story. This little boy had fought and battled and won against brain cancer. And then Donald Trump honors him and gets him sworn in as a Secret Service agent. Now, it's just honorary, obviously. But fact remains, the kid was overjoyed. It was a very heartfelt moment, and I thought it was fantastic. Now, there are a lot of people are coming out saying that it was just a prop show, and Trump just used a person of color, a kid of color, to further his agenda and blah blah blah. Why can't you just take the fact that he did something good, took a heartfelt moment and honored this kid, and rightfully so. I mean, the kid, he's aspiring to be a police officer. He's battled and fought against brain cancer, and they're going to use this to weaponize it against President Trump. This is how evil these people are. But let's keep going with this.
He's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer.
Did you see Jen Psaki? Look at I'm gonna rewind. Look at her face. I'm wondering if she's thinking in her head, "Don't say something stupid." That's what I'm wondering, because that's what her face looks like to me. But anyway, we'll keep going.
And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
This is disgusting. Okay, for one, you hope he's not one of the officers that has to protect against Trump supporters. They were let into the Capitol, for one. Just the cops opened up the barricades and let them in. That's the first thing. The second thing, she hopes that he doesn't take his own life. Who says this? What kind of a person says this about a 13-year-old boy who wants to be a police officer? It's disgusting. Have your opinions, but bringing this little boy into this like this and saying this kind of stuff is not cool. It's not okay.
And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Look, this is pure evil, in my opinion. Look, I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not okay with people assaulting police officers. I'm not. That being said, how much time does one have to serve in prison for assault on a police officer? How much time is enough? I think 3 years is good. I think that's a long sentence for assault on a police officer. I do. Unless the result of the injuries actually, killed that officer, that'd be a different story. But 3 years, I think, is long enough. Now, I've got different opinions about the suicides and everything else, but there was no officer. And they'll throw this out there too. There was no officer that was actually killed on that day. Everything that happened, these officers that lost their lives were after the fact. And I have my own opinions about that, but I'm not going to get into that here. But this was wrong. I don't agree with her on this. I think it was disgusting to use this child as a talking point to further, attack, further their agenda and attacks on President Trump. Anyway, moving on to the women, the Democrat women at the State of the Union. I know I keep saying State of the Union. It was a joint session of Congress, whatever. It was a State of the Union address. So these women wore pink in solidarity and to stand for women. But keep in mind, these women who wore pink, and there's one here that's not even a woman, it's actually a man, and they're wearing pink to stand in solidarity with women. But these same women shut down the bill to keep men out of women's sports. So you can say hypocrites, you can say they're just grandstanding, you can say, they do this and then, they say they stand for one thing, but then they do another. It's all political theater. They're just trying to get attention. That's what I think. Because these women don't stand for women. If they did, they would want to protect women and keep men out of their sports. That's how I feel about it. It's insane to me. But we'll go on to Liz Warren, and this was, I think I showed it in my video yesterday, but this was a mic drop moment for President Trump, just in the fact that, look, the Democrats, they did not applaud. They didn't stand. They didn't applaud. You would think, maybe, just maybe, that they would applaud, be grateful for some of the things that President Trump has done. No, they cannot. They cannot do it. President Trump said himself in that speech that he could cure cancer, or one of the biggest plagues that could wipe out the entire world, and he could cure it, and these people would still not applaud him or stand for him, anything like that. And he's correct. The only time that the left applauded during his speech is when he said that we were giving billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. Then they stood up and they clapped, they applauded, said, "Yay, we're giving money away. We're giving taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. Yay." That's the only time. That's the only time that they did it. And then he said he let them clap for a moment, and then he turned to him and he said, "Do you want it to go on for another 5 years?" And apparently Liz Warren said yes. Doesn't surprise me, because like I've said it before, it's my opinion, it's my belief that this war is funneling money not only to Ukraine and Zelensky, but it's also being funneled back to Democrats and all these other people. Who knows who all it's paying, but there's a lot of money that's missing, and they can say that they need the money and they need the weapons and blah 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 blah. But we've already $350 billion, and they'll say, "Oh, we haven't given that much money to them." Okay, because a lot of it is ammunition and weapons and whatnot. So the total number, I believe it was 177 billion in actual dollars that we had given to Ukraine. But Zelensky says that he's only gotten about 77 billion of it. So with $100 billion that's still accounted for. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think it's just a money laundering scheme. They want this war to keep going because it lines their pockets. It's just what I think. I got no proof to it, but that's my opinion on it. Anyway, so this is where President Trump I thought it was a great moment, because it just points out the fact that President Trump wants peace. The Democrats want the war to keep going. It's a perfect example of how they feel about the war in Ukraine. They just want it to keep going instead of having a resolution towards peace. Anyway, we'll check it out.
With no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense. With no security,
Yeah, they start clapping.
with no anything.
Speaker Johnson, he's like, oh my gosh. Hey, JD.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah. You would say Pocahontas says yes.
Mic drop. Look at her. She's just gonna. Yes.
2,000 people.
I don't know what to do then other than to just keep clapping because he just owned me. Yeah, he did. Look, again, it's a money laundering scheme. My opinion, like I said, I've got no proof to back it up, but it's just how I think. It's what I think is happening with this war. Because why else would you not want the war to end? Why? Unless you're getting kickbacks and you're enriching yourself from the war. That's the only reason I can think of why you would want the war to just keep going. Why wouldn't you want peace? It's the same thing with Zelensky had come out during Trump's speech. Okay, Zelensky, he got a letter from Zelensky saying that he's ready to come to the negotiation table. He's ready to sign the minerals deal. And then just yesterday night, he put out a video saying that he's not ready for it, actually. So how many times has he flip-flopped on this now? He came to the White House. He got embarrassed by President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. Then from there, he went straight to London, to the UK, begging them for money. Okay, they gave it to him. He left the U.S. because this was the first time that he's come here since President Trump has been back in office. And it's the first time that since this war has started that he has come to the U.S. and then left without getting paid any more money. Because the last time he came here, he was campaigning for the Democrats because he wanted that cash cow to keep going. And now that it's stopped, President Trump said, no more. You're not getting anything else. He left crying, went straight to London, and said, give me money, give me money. And they said, okay. The guy's not going to, as long as he keeps getting money coming in, he's not going to stop. Like I said, how many times has he flip-flopped now? He just said that he was ready to come to the negotiation table and he was ready to sign the minerals deal. It's a good deal. I've said it before I've said it 100 times, I think. It's a good deal. Gives security to Ukraine, an interest within the region for the U.S. And Putin has come out and said, hey, we've got minerals too. I'll sign a deal. It's good for the region. But he changed his mind again because he wants the war to keep going. Anyway, Al Green, we're going to move on to him. This guy, now everybody saw that he got thrown out of, of the State of the Union. He got thrown out of the chamber for interrupting and being disrespectful. And I'm gonna show you this. This is I haven't seen a lot of people actually talk about this part of it. This is him talking to the press afterwards, after he was just thrown out. Check this out.
And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid.
Just to be clear, it's a little. I know the volume on this is a little low, but he says that the president. He was saying that the president does not have a mandate to cut Medicare, which he is not. He's not cutting Medicaid. He's not cutting Medicare. I showed in a previous video that the bill that had passed. Now the Democrats are crying left and right that in that bill he's cutting Medicaid. It's not true. Medicaid was nowhere in the bill. Rather, I apologize. Can't speak this morning for some reason. Medicaid was not in the bill anywhere. I looked at it. I went through it. Medicare was in the bill, but it actually bumped up the payments into the spending bill to Medicare was roughly somewhere, I think it was somewhere around $100 million. Maybe it was 100. I forget. It was a lot. It was a lot more money. It was somewhere, I think it was $100 million more than the year prior. 2025 allocated $100 million more. Don't quote me on the exact number of the price, but it was a lot more than the previous year in 24. It was more money going to Medicare. So, and Medicaid was nowhere in the bill. Nowhere, anywhere. So this lie that these Democrats keep throwing out there about People are worried about their Medicaid, Medicare payments. It's not in danger. He's come out and said, President Trump has said specifically he's not cutting these programs. It wasn't in the bill. Anywhere. Medicaid. Medicare, he gave more money to. So they're lying. They're outright lying to everyone. But anyway.
I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people.
He has people that are very fearful. That's because you keep telling them the lie that this administration is cutting off their Medicaid and Medicare, which is a lie. It's not happening. Stop spouting your lies, and people would not be scared about losing their Medicaid and Medicare. It's that simple. Stop lying.
And they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid.
That's a lie.
He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs.
He's not cutting Social Security either. That's a lie.
And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people.
He's talking about, now President Trump has come out and he said that there are going to be people getting off of this program, namely, specifically, illegal immigrants who do not qualify to be on the program. That's what he's talking about. Look, if you've got constituents that are on this program and are illegal immigrants, yes, they're probably going to be cut from the program because they're illegal immigrants and they don't qualify to be on the program. That's it. That's the only thing that President Trump has come out and said. That's it. This guy is lying out his ass. Okay? I apologize for the language. But these people are infuriating because they constantly lie. Now, the good thing about this is a lot of people are seeing through the lies. A lot of people. Even people on the left. Now, there's still, main prominent people, especially all over X, like Harry Sisson, who go along with these lies and throw it out there, but they're paid actors. So they're getting paid by the left-wing deep state machine. So they're going to keep throwing out the propaganda just like members of Congress do, because they're getting paid to do it. And these people are lying. They're just liars, and they can't help themselves because President Trump is going through this. He's going through politics with a sledgehammer, and he's cutting all these fundings, all these funds and everything else. He's weeding out the corruption, which is exactly what we voted for. And a lot of people, the people that say, "Oh, we didn't elect Elon Musk," yes, we did, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because it was no secret during the campaign, President Trump said that Elon Musk was going to play a major role in weeding out the corruption and the wasteful spending. This is what I voted for. You can say that we didn't elect Elon Musk all you want, but I elected and I voted for President Trump knowing that Elon was going to play a vital role and he was going to be a part of the administration. There you go.
It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
He's not making any sense. None of that makes sense.
Look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
See, he's just spewing the lies. He just can't help it. Saying the same thing over and over again. He's just lying out his butt. Okay. You can't believe anything these people say. I mean, take it, or at least take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research, look into things. That's, just be a critical thinker, and look in, you don't even have to be that. Just look at anything that they say, look into it. Make sure it's verified. That's it. These people lie. They can't help it because their establishment is being crumbled to the ground, and they can't stand it.
Are you saying you have no mandate? Is that what you just
That's what he has no mandate to cut Medicaid.
He's not. It's another lie.
Is the only punishment that you were kicked out, sir? Is there something?
I don't know. Whatever the punishment is, I'm not fighting the punishment. This is about the people who are being punished by virtue of losing their health care. This is
Lie.
the richest country in the world, and we have people who don't have good health care. We've got to do better. And now we're about to cut.
Well, here's a thought for, if we weren't subsidizing everybody else's health care, why do you think Canada has the ability to have free health care? It's an honest question. How do you think that that's possible? It's because the United States subsidizes everything. They don't have to pay for their military. Their military is tiny compared to ours. They don't put as much money into their military as we do. That kind of stuff. I mean, that along with other programs, it adds up. That's how they're able to have free health care. We can't do that because we're paying for everybody else's health care. We're paying for everybody else's security. And that's what President Trump is doing. He said this is gonna stop. We're not gonna be funding everybody else's free health care anymore. And I'm with it. I mean, that's taxpayer money just going out the door.
Medicaid, which is for poor people. Health care has become wealth care for many people.
It's a lie.
We can't afford to let that happen.
Is that the only thing that you're protesting?
No, I have other things I'm protesting. And I'm also working on my articles of impeachment. This president is unfit. He should not hold office.
Excuse me.
34 felony convictions, 2 times.
Trumped up charges.
Sir, tell me
Everybody knows those, the 34 convictions, everybody knows that they were just trumped up charges. And you can look into that yourself. They were charges that should have been misdemeanors. The only reason that they got bumped up to felonies is because they were going on the attack against President Trump. You can look into it. Everybody knows it. But I want to show you this too. This is I think this was CNN, okay? And this was the approval rating of what Al Green did. And just to give you some context of how the people actually feel, and this guy saying all these lies about cutting Medicaid, it's not true. But overwhelmingly, people disapproved of how he handled himself. Check this
during
out.
the course of the event, which is wanting to get reaction on
This is
Congressman
crazy.
Al
Look.
Green's antics and being ejected. 80% of speech watchers
This is CNN.
said that the Democratic congressman's interrupting of Trump's speech was inappropriate. Only 20% of speech watchers thought what Green did was appropriate.
CNN, which is the most left-biased news source that you can actually go to, and even their poll showed 80% disapproved. They did not like what Al Green did, thought it was disrespectful and whatnot. And the guy went out for a photo op and talked to the press. He planned this. This happened very, very early, within the first couple of minutes, okay? He planned on getting thrown out so he could go right to these reporters and spew his left-wing lies. That's he planned on doing it. You can't tell me otherwise, because, I mean, anyway. So, the left is they're just insane. They're losing voters in droves. They just can't help themselves but spew the lies. People are starting to see through it, and it's a good. I'm happy to see it. They keep this kind of stuff up, they're not gonna win the midterms. They're coming up. If the left cannot change course and adjust what they're doing, they're not gonna win the midterms. These people will be voted out, and Elon Musk come out and said that he thinks that we can get to 260 in the Senate. I agree. They keep going down this path, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to come back from it. I'm for it. You know what? Keep destroying yourselves. Keep going down this path. People don't believe you anymore. They see through your lies. People are starting to actually do research, looking up things. They see through your lies. Look, and I'm going to stress one more time. Jocelyn, the 12-year-old that was killed by an illegal. Trump named a national park after her. They didn't stand and they didn't stand, they didn't clap, they didn't applaud for that. Laken Riley, when he talked about the Laken Riley Act that got passed, they didn't stand for that. They didn't stand for Laken Riley's mom and sister that were there. DJ, the 13-year-old boy who was sworn in as a Secret Service agent who fought brain cancer. They didn't stand for that. They didn't applaud that. The border, which they said all through President Trump's campaign, they were trying to pass a bill. Turns out you didn't need a bill, you just needed a strong president. They said the whole campaign that they wanted the border to be secured, but they needed this bill to get passed. President Trump secured the border. They didn't applaud that. Apparently, they really didn't want that. Abbey-gate. President Trump came out and said that the person that was behind the Abbey-gate bombing, they killed 13 service members, he was apprehended. They couldn't stand for that either because they don't care. They don't. All they care, the only thing they want is their hatred towards Trump. That's why they didn't stand for any of this stuff. It's that simple. They just hate Trump, and they can't go along with anything that he does good. Anything, doesn't matter if it's good or bad. They won't go along with it, and they will find anything and everything to knock down anything that he does. Anything. It does not matter. And they're sick and they're evil people. To highlight how sick and evil, this is not. I don't know who this person is, but this is disgusting. This Emma Vigiland, I don't know who this is. But anyway, the video of Peyton, the volleyball player who ended up with a partial paralysis, temporary. The video of, because she was at the State of the Union, Trump, applauded her, gave her props, And again, this goes back to the women in the pink who supposedly stand for women's rights. Unless it's in, women's sports, then they don't stand for it because they just let men go willy-nilly all over. But anyway, this person laughs, ha 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 ha, at the video that has made its round again because she was at the State of the Union. The video's resurfaced and is going around again, and this person has the gall to say this to somebody who was, this girl got hit so hard in the face with this ball from a male player on a female team. You can say it's a trans female. It's a man. It's a boy playing against women, which is dangerous, and it's the sole reason why there's men and women's sports. And I forget who it said. I want to say it was Tim Pool, I think, that said it. But look, it was a good point. And like I said, I think it was Tim Pool. I want to give him credit for it because I think it was him. He said, look, if you want to involve the the transgender people in sports, okay, keep them out of the women's sports. Let them compete with the men. I guarantee you they won't do it. And it's a valid point because it's my opinion and a lot of other people's opinions that these people who fail in the men's sports, they transition into a female and then play against the women because they can beat the crap out of them. That's it. That's the whole reason for it. It's disgusting to me. I don't think that men should be allowed to compete in women's sports. And like I said, the fact that the House did not pass, or the Senate did not pass the keeping men out of women's sports thing is disgusting to me. These Democrats who say they stand for women's rights, they don't. They are lying to you because if they did, they would keep men out of women's sports. That's it. Period. Done. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Appreciate y'all hanging out through my rants. I'm gonna go get ready for work. But if you like what you saw, you can subscribe to me on YouTube. Don't know why you would, but go to Rumble. Go to Rumble. Rumble's the spot. It's going to take over YouTube. My opinion, but I think it will. Rumble is the new free speech platform. They don't censor, and they'll keep your stuff up. Go to Rumble. Follow me on Rumble. And you can also follow me on X at @ThePoliticalRay. Again, I appreciate you hanging out through my ramblings, and I hope y'all have a good day, and God bless.